All right, today we're going to look at something called a couple of special cases in our with our systems of linear equations, and we're looking at start off by looking at these in terms of graphing and elimination, see what happens with it. So our first one we've got is looking at negative 2x plus y equals 1 and 4x minus 2y equals negative 8. So first one to do is we're going to graph this. So to do that, I would have to add 2x to both sides. So I'd have y equals 2x plus 1. So that's our first equation. And our second one, I'd have to subtract 4x from both sides. So I get negative 2y equals negative 4x minus 8. And then I'd have to divide by negative 2. So y equals 2x plus 4. So the first thing I look at about these equations is the fact you can see that the slope, the 2's are the same, so that's always their slope. But I'm going to graph these anyways and see what happens. So 2x plus 1, so here's my plus 1 in red. And going up 2 over 1. Looks something like that. And then I'll do the next one in blue. So 2x plus 4, so 1, 2, 3, 4. So up 4, up 2 over 1, up 2 over 1. All right. So you can see with these two equations, the big thing here is that they are parallel. So parallel lines, so we've got this parallel lines. Parallel lines have the same slope, so they're never going to cross. And what happens when you have two things that don't cross is that we can't solve it by graphing. Because remember, graphing, the solution for a graphing one is when the two lines cross each other. Well, parallel lines don't cross. So this is considered an inconsistent system. So consistent things are things that always happen. So an inconsistent would be something that doesn't always happen or doesn't happen at all in this case. So you have an inconsistent system. So these are parallel. So let's go look back over here, and we're going to look at how would we solve this by elimination. So we've got our y's are equal to each other. So that means that we can subtract these. So y minus y gives me 0. So those zeros cancel out, so we have nothing left on the right-hand side, or left-hand side, sorry. And 2x minus 2x gives me nothing. 1 minus the positive 4 gives me a negative 3. So 0 equals negative 3. So what that means is that there's no, since both variables cancel out, there are no solutions. So whenever you have something that's like 0 equals negative 3, or it could be like 1 equals 4, or 2 equals negative 5. So things that are the left and right side don't equal each other, that's considered an inconsistent system. And you know that you have parallel lines. So parallel lines, no solution. All right. Next one we're going to look at, so that's this one right here, is we're going to solve the same thing, solved by graphing and elimination. So our first equation we've got up there, we're going to subtract the x from both sides. Let me just rewrite it up here. X plus 3y equals negative 3. So subtract the x from both sides. 3y equals negative x minus 3. And then divide by 3. Y equals negative 1/3 x minus 1. And my second one, we'll do in blue. Subtract 3x from both sides. And so 9y equals negative 3x minus 9. And we are dividing by 9 on both sides, so y equals negative 1/3 x, the negative out there, sorry about that, minus 1. Okay. So I'm going to write that equation. So, let's go ahead and graph them. So my graphing, we'll start at negative 1. So there's my minus 1. And negative 1/3 means I'm going down 1, right 3. Down 1, right 3, down 1, right 3. And that's my graph right there for my blue line. Now my red line, negative 1. So here's my negative 1. And I got a negative 1/3 slope, so I'm down 1, right 3. And what you notice about these two is they have the same equation, and they're exactly the same line. So because of that, they have another, so same line, they have another special name, so the same line, and that is a consistent dependent. So consistent. So remember, Consistent means that they at least share one point. And dependent. So consistent dependent, same line. What that means is that all points are solutions. So every single point that you have for one of them will always work in the other. Let's go back and look at our equations then. So solving by elimination, we're going to have to subtract again. So we'll subtract. So we'll minus here. So minus y minus y gives me 0, negative 1/3 x minus negative 1/3 x gives me 0, 0, negative 1 minus negative 1 gives me 0 also. So 0 equals 0. So in this case, you have 0 equals 0, so that means it's going to be a consistent dependent. So kind of a recap. If you get 0 equals 0, that means you have the same line, which is a consistent dependent event. If you have 0 equals negative 3, or 1 equals 4, or 2 equals negative 5, numbers at the left and right side don't match up, you've got parallel lines, and it's an inconsistent system. All right, that's all I got for you today. Have a good night.